All right, we are ready. We're pretty excited, smooth sailing, had an awesome week. This is Friday. We know that is it where we're at with our podcast because it's Fantabulous Friday. Good morning, everyone. This is Carol, so AKA Nani Boss, live with two.
Sistas. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Janis, aka Wellness Diva 5.0 on this Fantabulous Friday. And excuse me, I normally wake up before the alarm, but today I woke up probably about 45 minutes before the alarm was supposed to go off. So I'm like, it's very weird. And I just want to say this is weird. And I want to know if this happens to anyone. You're sleeping, you're having a good sleep, and then just like boom, I wake up. And normally I will freely admit I am not a morning person, although I am up early. That doesn't mean I'm a morning person. So you're sleeping soundly, and then just like I said, boom, you wake up. And it's like, okay, I'm up. Well, I might as well start doing my thing, which I started doing my thing. So has anybody experienced that? I'd be curious to know. I just, I think it's kind of weird.
It happens to me. It happens to me all the time. I wake up in a very sound, comfortable sleep, and it's literally, and you wonder at that point, because obviously to wake up that alert already, you're not in a REM sleep anymore to begin with, but you feel you are. You're feeling like you're in this deep sleep, and it does surprise me. It doesn't happen every single morning, but it happens probably more often than not. That is like a bam, your mind says, nah, you're done. Need to start your day, get going. And like you, I'm not a morning person. And what I mean by that is, even though I wake up fairly alert, obviously the nutritional program that we're on, helps us to achieve that if it's not happening. And I'm not one that even does my nutritional program first thing in the morning on an empty stomach. I do it is when I'm ready to break fast on an empty stomach, which is usually around, between 1 and 3 o'clock. So I don't have that extra additive oomph, from natural products to make me feel good. I am not a caffeine person. I do herbal tea, caffeinated herbal tea, decaffeinated rather, as well as organic. So I don't get that jolt that so many people who do have issues with not being that morning person. So when we say that morning person, it doesn't mean necessarily that. I think there's actually two meanings for people. Some people say when they're a morning person, like they wake up ready to take on the day. Other people thinks it's more of a mindset. You're happy-go-lucky, ready to take on the other day. Other people interpret that as this person's got their shista together and they're not scrambling. That makes them a morning person. So I would be curious of what your version of what you think a morning person is. My version of a morning person is someone that's automatically cheerful and ready to go. That is not me. And what I mean doesn't mean that I'm not cheerful. I may be cheerful, but I'm not ready to go. Or I have leftover thoughts from maybe what occurred the other day, which we know you want to always start out with a clean slate. I'm always accountable for that and say, no, okay, you didn't accomplish that. No worries. And that's when we bring in Fantabulous Friday, because we all have derailments. We all have things that we have to pivot or re-navigate through because the day is not going right. The moment is not going right, right? It could be you got sidebar, you woke up late. So now you're that person that's running around trying to get your kids ready or get yourself off to work or just even prepare for your day. And you're discombobulated because you feel, normally I'm up at 6:30, now it's 7. I've lost 30 minutes, which for a lot of people is huge, especially when you're on that schedule. Now, I'm not on that type of schedule anymore, other than, if we're doing our podcast in the morning or we've got a Zoom, we've got a meeting. I have the flexibility now that we are in a different age bracket, that I do have more flexibility with my time. So when I know that I've got to pick up and go moment in the morning, I have to be very prepared the day before. That's just how I am, because I kind of live in that laissez-faire life. Right. But what happens is we get discombobulated. We feel like, there's a derailment. But guess what? It's Fantabulous Friday. you kind of review, okay, could I have done this better? Should I have been more prepared? Was it something that I had to like think on the fly? So we want you to be kind to yourself. We want you to celebrate your wins. Now your wins do, awesome if they're monumental. We applaud you. Maybe you lost some weight. Maybe you started noticing, ooh, those skinny jeans are fitting a little bit better on me. Maybe it's, geez, I've accomplished, I was supposed to do A, B, or C, and D, and guess what? I got to E, F, and G. Awesome job. But then there's those of you who may have started on a project, maybe a new health and wellness journey, maybe a new fitness, maybe it had to do with your mind, and maybe in your mind, you didn't quite complete the task. Well, kudos to you for starting whatever you're supposed to do, whatever you want to accomplish. We don't diminish that we actually put the step forward. A lot of times putting the step forward also means, unbeknownst to us at the time, you got to step sideways. You might have to step backwards. You may have to step triangular, but it doesn't matter. The point that you actually made a conscious effort, you pat yourself on the back, don't you think, Jan?
Oh, absolutely. And it's all about, for instance, I pulled my workout clothes the night before. They go over on the other side, but soon enough, all that stuff's going to be downstairs. So I just have to roll out of bed, go down the spiral staircase and into my new office. Okay, I'm getting a little sidetracked. Sorry. But the purpose being the practice part of that, because I know I am not that morning person. In fact, when I wake up with the alarm, now keep in mind, I get up anywhere from 2 to 3 times a night. Lately, it's been just 2, from back in July when it was starting to be like 7 to 8 times that I was waking up. So that's a huge, huge improvement for my sleep. Yeah. So sleep is centered around everything. And I go on the other side for right now. And I have a second timer or alarm set, excuse me, to go off 15 minutes later. So that's my 15 minutes to, sometimes I just like sit down for like a couple minutes and I'm just like, trying to wake up. I tried to at least put my workout clothes on first before I do that. But I was finding that, okay, I put my workout clothes out now. All right, well, let me just put my legs up on the couch. And I, kind of dozed off a couple times. So that's why I just sit there, about 5 minutes. And then I have 10 minutes to, get my clothes on and just kind of mentally prepare myself. And it, for me, it works out great. Now, so you're reasoning that's what we're trying to get to. Your reason, like what is your interpretation of not being that morning person? Does it mean that you're from a mental standpoint, you're not super organized, so you prep the night before? Is that your version of what you think being a morning person is versus not? A little bit. Okay. But because I know how we know ourselves better than anyone else, right? Sure. Yeah. For instance, the bag of chips things, which I talk about a lot of times, cannot be trusted around a bag of chips. So, my time in the morning when I wake up, excuse me, is very structured. That helps me to be more mentally prepared and set that foundation for the day, even though I am not that morning person. I love, and I haven't been going to the kickboxing studio. I'm doing classes at home, but I also work with, that app that I love, Obey. And I'm taking some classes called it's called Hard AF, meaning hard as, I don't want to say it out loud, but you can kind of get hard as fluck. Yes, exactly. But anyway, I wonder how that's going to come up in when they do the right. And oh boy, and those are on demand. And but anyways, keeping a routine like that routine. I'm a routine oriented person, even though I'm not a morning person. So the night before, it's all about, okay, let me make sure my drink's over there, my clothes, I'm good to go. And that's a good feeling, even when I'm schlepping across the other side of the house.
Not only that, but I would imagine when, because I do the same, I try to get prepared. And I think when you are prepared, that will also assist you if you've got a derailment first thing in the morning. Like say, oops, my appointment was 15 minutes earlier than I thought. At least now you've got your clothes laid out. You're organized enough to like throw the things on and get out the door if it had to do with something on the door. Or, if you had a Zoom or you had some sort of meeting or you're, if you've got little ones at home and, they've got to bring a certain project into school or, you got to leave earlier because they got to bring a treat in for school because it's, something for birthdays. I wonder if they even do that anymore in school. They've got all these different things, but sidebar, I heard something very interesting this morning. I was listening to this gentleman talk about children in curiosity and what basically our world, the school system, even parents are really taking away the natural ability of curiosity. And we know curiosity is also educational. And they're really, it really made you get to think, especially, first thing in the morning to see that, how it impacted, my thought process with that. And he used an example of a rainy day. And of course, in the Northeast, it's, there was a lot of rain during last night. They had, we had warm temperatures here. It was in the, mid 50s. This morning, it was still 57, which I guess every hour now it's going to be dropping like 10 or 15 degrees. It's going to go, I don't think it's going to go into a tundra, but it's going to get down below freezing. But anywho, so when you naturally think of all the rain, you think of puddles. And he used this experience of his. He was sitting, I don't know if he was sitting on a park bench or he was outside somewhere, and there was a puddle. And the child had already had the boots on and the raincoat. And he thought to myself, don't walk around it. Don't walk around it. Don't walk around it. Please let the child do it. Don't walk around it. And as he said that, the parent, grabbed the child's hand and walked around the puddle. And he said, you could see it written all over this child's face that he, whether it was a he or a she, wanted to jump into that muddy puddle and experience, liquid, the force of jumping in a puddle, what happens with that, with the liquid, the water stirring, the touching of the muddy water. And it's through curiosity that naturally wires our brain to really earnest and to yearn for more learning, for more curiosity. Because with curiosity, that's what creates scientists, inventors, artists, leaders, doctors. They're so curious about something that they just want it. And he also brought up the point how sad it is that the school systems are taking curiosity out of learning. But what really impacted me, and obviously because I'm, working to make sure that all children are getting a fair public education and educating others on what they may not be knowing about what's going on in school systems. He also brought up the point that while graduating is a rite of passing, how sad it is that children are excited that they're leaving that institution, that they're curious, that they don't, want more. They want more curiosity, more learning. Now, yes, some do go off to college. So I'm not sure whether he was really referring to someone maybe graduating from college. And as we know that not all students leave K through 12 and go on to college. And he thought it's like parents, unconsciously, they don't obviously want to stop that child's curiosity. It's just out of pragmatics of what they think, they say, he also brought up, bringing up a child, a messy home should not matter. A child getting messy shouldn't matter. It doesn't mean you don't teach them organizational skills. But again, if you're wasting time too busy cleaning up, you're missing the enjoyment of that child and the curiosity of why it got to the mess. And I thought it was a really interesting point. I'm going to share what he stated on my timeline later, sometime today. But I thought that just really reinforced, the positivity of having a Fantabulous Friday, because we sometimes forget that some of our goals may not necessarily be with our physical being, meaning transformation, health and wellness, changing a diet, organize our closet. It could also be that you've learned something new, or a new thought process has entered your brain now because you were opening to listening to someone else speak. That is something to pat yourself on the back, that you were open enough to see someone speak. And I actually did a post this morning, because obviously, as we've talked about, a lot of information and news articles are coming about as to what is going on with the district that I, been kind of researching into. And too many times you have people that get on, the whole keyboard warrior posture, if you will be, which I don't even think it is postured. I think it's laziness. And a lot of people think ignorance is bliss. Well, it's not, because if you sit behind a keyboard spewing something that you don't know what you're talking about, because you weren't open-minded enough to ask questions that may impact an issue that you don't know about, and you just spew your opinion as if it's facts, you really cut yourself off from celebrating, especially on Fantabulous Friday, that you were willing enough to do some research, willing enough to investigate, to maybe enlighten your own self on, geez, maybe I don't know everything about that subject matter, or maybe my opinions were based on something that were never true to begin with. Maybe I should take the time to not just spew posts out in an ignorant manner, because to me, ignorance is laziness. It means you're not willing to think of yourself well enough to enlighten and open your mind on maybe a subject that you don't know about. So for all those people that maybe this Fantabulous Friday was maybe learning some patience with those spewing their opinion as facts, pat yourself on the back as well.
Exactly. And I just want to kind of digress just a moment and go back to the puddles. I was snickering because I specifically remember, and this is back when we lived in Hartford, I guess it would be North Beacon Street, whatever street it was, but an older sibling who shall remain nameless was, excuse me, was holding my hand and, walking me down the street, and there was a puddle, and I was kind of lagging behind, and I jumped in the puddle and, got the mud, everything. And I was, had a dress on. I think I had white stockings on, and yeah. I remember that very clearly, and it's amazing how those memories pop up. And you know what? And that's fantabulous, because it made me laugh. Sometimes we need that chuckle, right?
And that curiosity of what will happen when I jump in the puddle.
Right. And guess what? And I found out, and I was like, oh, well, oh, well, I was little, like, well, what the hell did I know? But the point is, going back to the, what you were saying, encompassing that learning process, the curiosity, that leads to other things. I mean, I look back, like our brother Vic, and his curiosity with things that went up in the air, such as rockets, and he's like a rocket scientist. He is a rocket scientist.
Yes.
And sidebar to that too, but we'll talk about that another time. But that curiosity led him onto so many different things that he pursued. And I think that's just amazing, from, the little squirrel in the
It was a gerbil.
rocket. Oh, a gerbil.
It was a gerbil, yes.
And I remember that too, because that was another early morning. It was either in the Elizabeth Park with Fran.
It was in Elizabeth Park, and I actually was the one who pushed the button so the rocket would go off. And the funny piece to that story was, both of our brothers were curiosity about space and rockets, and we would make homemade rockets out of toilet paper rolls and the rolls from wrapping paper. But, as you know, back then the capsule was kind of like the shape of a styrofoam coffee cup. If you flipped it over, it was that shape. So we actually took the coffee cup, and Vic, we cut it in such a way that it was the latch of the door, and that's where the gerbil was placed. So when the rocket came down, and obviously the capsule was on a parachute, and it came down, they actually paused, the 8mm camera, opened it up to make sure the gerbil was still alive before they filmed again, closed it up, and then resumed filming, because they obviously didn't want to keep filming if something happened to the gerbil. So, the point being, when you think of the greats, the scientists, inventors, it's because they were curious, so much so that they invented something or they improved something. That curiosity didn't just happen when they were adults. It was nourished when they were younger. And I think society as a whole today is so fast-paced and so busy that they don't spend the time to slow down and let the natural curiosity build that child into possibly something that may carry them through their adulthood. And hopefully curiosity is still within adults, and that we never shut off our minds to being curious to know something, because knowledge is power. And it should, that curiosity, the peak of curiosity, should never be diminished, should never be stifled, because greatness comes out of curiosity. It leads to someone wanting to learn more. Maybe it's learning more about oneself, being better. Maybe it's learning about a subject or a profession, or in this case, rockets. So many great things happen out of curiosity.
Absolutely. And I was in a Facebook group this morning, catching up on some stuff that I needed to, and a post in there from a woman, excuse me, who was 42, 43. And it kind of got to my heart, and I did respond. But she was talking about, oh, I'm 43 and I'm not sure, I want to do this thing. And, I'm getting older, and I'm like, no, you got to go for it. Like, so the curiosity part does not stop. The curiosity factor will always be there. It's how we cultivate it.
Yes.
There's never the perfect time. I look back on my journey and I'm blessed, obviously, in so many ways. But, I was working full time as I was trying to get my health coaching business online up and running. And then all of a sudden I was laid off. So there's no perfect time. There is no perfect time. And it just goes with the, that verbiage, just do it.
Just do it.
It may take you a couple months.
Right.
Or have to map it out.
It may even take years before you really find your niche, and like you said, map it out.
And, and speaking of niches, I've been, like redefining things in my business. And those have been cultivated from obviously things that have happened in my world, or something that inspired me, that clicked my curiosity to say, wait a minute, no, this is the way I want to go. So when you're trying to work whatever it may be on that thing that you want for yourself, that thing that you want to do, whatever it is. You have the idea. It starts with the idea. You're going this way, but then whoops, you go this way, and then you go this way. So it's a learning curve. It's a journey. It's particularly a journey in self-discovery. And, you know, I can say with certainty that I found myself saying to myself a lot of times, wait a minute, you know, I want to do this, but it's over again, it's over there. That's okay. You work up to it. So
right, and probably, and the point being, you got to maybe renegotiate, renavigate. You maybe had to pivot from what the original curiosity part was, but guess what? It may have brought you to another piece that is more fitting or excites you more as more curiosity. So the whole point is never be closed-minded. Don't stifle your children from being curious, from getting dirty, from getting messy, from being creative, because that is by you showing and partnering with them and encouraging them is really going to open their mind to amazing opportunities in their future. It may lead them on a path, a certain profession, a passion, and we never want to stifle that. And, you know, it's part of growth. And curiosity should never, never, never be stifled. It should be nourished. Oh, and speaking of curiosity, who is this over here? Oh, I think we've got an online guest. You want to pop up here? Yes. And say good morning.
Good morning.
good morning, Princess RaeRae.
Can you share with Auntie and everyone else out there, what is one thing you're curious about? Do you know what curious means? Oh, say curious means that you're interested in something that you might not know about or you want to do. So I'm going to give you an example. Do you like to jump in puddles?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you like to jump in puddles?
Since you get to splash and have fun.
You get to splash and have fun. And what happens with the water?
It turns into ice.
Well, sometimes it turns into ice because of the weather today. We were just talking about that this morning, all this rain, and you can see it crystallizing and starting to, as the temperature drops. It went from snow to melting to water, and now some areas are starting to like crystallize a little bit. But what's something else that you might be curious about? Maybe curious about learning something.
Mm-hmm.
Are you curious about the piano?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever played the piano? No. Are you curious and wondering about it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, there you go. This one might have to see what a piano is all about. But the whole point being is to make sure that anybody gets to try whatever they want, right? If you like it and you're curious about it, you want to know more, don't you want to always be able to try something? Because when you try something, that's when you realize whether you like it or you don't like it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What else? What other advice could you give us today? What do you got going on? How about if we just, what do you got going on today?
We're going to this church, and it's a party there with homeschool friends that we
With homeschool friends, and what are you going to be doing? Are you going to be having some candy and sharing Valentine's? That's pretty cool. So you're having your Valentine's party today at co-op school, which is all the homeschool kids.
That sounds like
All
fun.
right. Well, you, my little Princess RaeRae, we better go get ready. All right. Well, you blow a kiss to Auntie, and you got to go get ready.
Bye, Princess
Right.
RaeRae. Love you.
That's awesome. And thanks for your advice on curiosity. So there you go. You heard it from a 5-year-old. Let them jump in the puddle.
That's right. Exactly. And on that note, you know, we would always love to hear from you. Maybe you have a puddle childhood memory. Go to our website, leave us a message, a voice message, www.twosistas.online. Yes, because we like to be different. We'd love to be different. And there's a curiosity factor in that. My name is Janis, aka Wellness Diva 5.0, and I am with
TwoSistas, and this is Carol, aka Naughty Boss, live from a 57-degree morning, which apparently the temperature is going to be dropping rapidly every hour. So bundle up, stay warm, have a fantabulous Friday. Make sure that you have that conversation with yourself in the mirror. Pat yourself on the back for whatever you are celebrating, whatever goal that you reached. And even if you didn't reach it, put it on for tomorrow's menu of your accountability and get right to it. Be kind. Have a great weekend.
Bye, everyone.